Was buying my fiancée her dream house. Then she demanded I add her brother to the deed. Turns out he's actually her ex and first love, and that she's been lying for years. I, 30M, have been with my fiancée, 26F, for over 5 years now. Tina and I met at a restaurant. She had just started working behind the counter, and I had gone with my buddy to place my order. I couldn't take my eyes off her since she was absolutely stunning and had the sweetest voice. After placing our order, I kept telling my friend about how gorgeous she was and how I could not stop thinking about her. He told me that I should just ask her out. However, I was nervous and was afraid of being rejected. I grabbed a pen and paper, wrote down my name and number, and went to collect our food when it was ready. When I paid, I slipped the note to her and she blushed when she realized that I had written my number down. She called me that evening and we talked for hours. It was like we had known each other all our lives. She's the first girl I have ever met that I have truly been happy with. She makes me smile endlessly. My parents and my sister have met her also and they like her as much as I do. Just to give you some background, Tina and I come from really different backgrounds. Tina's childhood was tough. She grew up as an orphan because her mom abandoned her as a baby. No name, no information, no birthday, nothing. As she grew up, she never got adopted. She had to go through a bunch of foster homes and has told me how they were horrible for her. Tina has one cousin brother, Kyle, who apparently found out about her existence and got in touch with her when she was 16 years old. She and her brother are extremely close. From the get-go, my girlfriend had made it very clear to me that her brother was the most important person in her life, and I understood since I had an older sister as well, so I understand that sibling bond. The tricky part was that she would often cancel our plans at a moment's notice to hang out with him if he asked. She mentioned they both suffered from separation anxiety, and it showed in the way she prioritized him over our plans. There were times when we would discuss future trips, initially thinking it would be just the two of us, but then she would tell me how she wanted to bring her brother along. Once, during a staycation, he called for no apparent reason, and she stressed out, feeling the need to rush back home because apparently her brother wanted her there. She also made it clear that he was her number one, leaving me with this unsettling feeling that even if we were married, I might still be second to her brother. It was almost like I had to compete with him, which was a strange sensation. To add to it, he would frequently call her during our dates, resulting in 15 to 30-minute phone conversations that interrupted our time together. My girlfriend lived in a tiny apartment with 2 other roommates when I first met her. Her brother, Kyle, would always find an excuse to crash in. One time when I FaceTimed her, I saw him sleeping right next to her. I felt extremely uncomfortable and questioned her about it. She told me that her brother usually slept on their sofa in the living room, but that night he did not want to be alone since he was going through a bad breakup. Later, I told her that I did not feel comfortable having her share a bed with another man, even if he was her cousin. She argued with me that the sofa bed was uncomfortable and her bed was bigger for the two of them. I told her that it was weird for him to keep crashing at her place when I didn't even do that, and instead of going to a friend's place he wanted to spend the night with her. Tina brushed it off, saying I was overthinking it and that it was not a big deal. She told me I wouldn't understand because I was not that close to my sibling. Compared to Tina's childhood, mine was comparatively better. I grew up in a wealthy household and had 2 loving parents. I had an older sister that I was close to also. Hence, when I found out about Tina's childhood, it broke my heart that she never got a chance to grow up in a stable home. This is why I always tried to give her as much love and affection as I could. She and I had a happy relationship, so we decided to move in after we dated for 7 months. She told me how her lease was ending, and because I lived in my own house and was paying my mortgage, she asked me if she could move in with me. From the very beginning, I have always financially supported her since I have a really nice job. I earn in 6 figures and she has been aware of this. Initially, I did want to ask her to split the rent, but then I felt bad about it, so I let it go. She was still studying during this time, so I ended up covering all her expenses, books, daily needs like food and gas, you name it. Honestly, it wasn't exactly my favorite thing, but I loved her, and she genuinely needed the help. I kept reassuring myself that it would pay off once we both graduated, landed good jobs, and became more financially independent. However, conflicts would pop up periodically. I felt like, since I was the one shelling out for everything, I should have the final say in decisions. Once, Tina invited Kyle up for the weekend as she wanted me to bond with him. Since he had been wanting to come and get drunk for a while, I agreed and bought a few cans for him. When her brother came over, he completely ignored me and went in straight to hug Tina. They hugged unusually long and then Tina introduced him to me. I smiled at him politely while he had no emotions on his face. He then sat down on our sofa and ordered Tina to get him a few drinks. I use the word order because he literally did exactly that. I was quite taken aback because I had never ever spoken to Tina that way. Throughout the night, her brother was a massive jerk to me the entire time. For example, he looked around our house and told me how I probably was a lazy bum who depended on my dad for everything. I clarified that I worked hard in college to get my cushy job and that I was paying the mortgage of his house all on my own. He then scoffed and started to bring up how he had recently been promoted. For context, he worked at a restaurant for the past 8 years and had been promoted as the manager there. As Tina and I congratulated him, he completely ignored me again and told Tina how he wanted to take her out for dinner since it had been ages since just the two of them had hung out and how he missed going for long drives with her. Tina agreed and they started talking about all their good times, which made me very uncomfortable to hear. However, my girlfriend noticed I wasn't having fun and was being quiet, so we went over to my room to talk things out. Our discussion apparently took too long, and her brother barged into our bedroom screaming for Tina and saying how he missed her. Tina assured him that we would be right out, but he asked us to just hurry back, and in my frustration, I angrily told him to go away. I was really getting frustrated with how clingy he was around Tina, and it boggled my mind that she didn't see this. After sorting things out, we decided to go back, as I didn't want to keep my girlfriend from her brother. She stopped to use the bathroom, and I waited in the hall. From there, I could hear her brother yelling at our TV and he sounded completely drunk. This is when I noticed that he had been drinking continuously since the time he came into our place and was almost 6 cans down. When Tina came out of the washroom, he started to tell her how he wished they could have met at a bar and had a good time together since this was boring and he wanted to go out. Tina must have also noticed that he was quite drunk, so she told him that he should rest for a bit since he had a car. Her brother drunkenly went on to say how he hated the fact that she was with me and how he wished I never came into his life. I was pissed and I honestly did not care what motivated him to say this. I demanded to know what his problem was since clearly there was no brother in this world who was so involved in his sister's life, but he responded by yelling and attacking me. Now I am 6 feet 3 inches and much taller than him, so I had to hold myself back from seriously damaging him. Tina was begging me to not hurt him while he kept screaming obscenities at me. I gave him just one pinch and he was knocked out cold. Tina screamed that I had killed him, but he was only unconscious and she checked his breathing. I told her that he could sleep it off on the sofa until he felt better. Tina then turned to me and told me that what I had done was unforgivable. I told her if that was the case, then she was welcome to leave me. I watched her eyes well up in tears, but I was too tired to argue with her, so I went up to my bedroom and just fell asleep. The next day, when I woke up, the brother was nowhere to be found. When I asked Tina, she told me that he wanted her to apologize to me for last night and that he was not going to be pressing any charges against me. I scoffed and told her that her brother was lucky that I did not press any charges against him because he was the one who attacked me drunk. Tina brushed it off and told me that she was sorry for getting pissed at me last night. I accepted her apology. Since that night, Kyle has always avoided me as much as he can. Obviously, Tina continued to see him every weekend, but he never ever came in front of me. By the third year of my relationship with Tina, I was seriously worn out from being the sole financial backbone in the house. She would basically expect me to handle all her school-related expenses even though she had her own savings from all the part-time jobs she had done. Around the same time, I started noticing how she would start acting entitled as if all my support was given. When she finally got an internship, I thought, well, now she could be a bit more financially independent. However, she would splurge her money on luxury items like shoes or handbags. She had tons of shoes even though she would hardly wear them, and a couple of high-priced handbags. I was still stuck covering all her basics. We began fighting a lot, with arguments boiling down to her telling me not to dictate her choices, and me likening her to a spoiled child I felt obligated to care for. Almost a year after her graduation, she still had not landed any job. Her self-esteem was wrecked. In the initial 5 months post-graduation, she had given it her all, but the constant rejections probably took a toll. What really irked me was that I had been suggesting she could have taken a part-time job during this time to make some money, but she never went for it. During this time, even though she was not earning a penny, she would constantly spend money on her brother or even send him a few $100s every month. If I questioned her, she would tell me how he needed help and that I was earning more than enough anyway, so I should not be selfish. This would really piss me off since she was sending my money without permission and expected me to be fine with it. Admittedly, I didn't make the situation any better. Frustration from supporting her and her brother had been building up inside me for quite some time, and it all came pouring out. The breaking point came when, on the night before her school loan and phone bill payments were due, she called me asking for help. I lost my cool, yelled, and called her an ungrateful person who just used me for money without doing anything for herself. I told her our relationship was a sham, that I deserved better, a true partner, not a spoiled daughter. I told her that I had been contemplating breaking up with her. She immediately started sobbing and apologizing to me. She told me how she was going to do better and how she had no idea that I felt this way. She felt terrible for what I had been going through. Fortunately, ever since that conversation, she kept true to her words. She started looking for another job. She did not help her brother out as much as she did before. Once she got a job, she started to contribute to the bills for the first time. I felt much better in our relationship knowing that she was now an almost equal partner. I decided to propose to Tina in September last year with the aim of tying the knot in June this year. She accepted my proposal and we posted about it on social media. However, when she was going to visit her brother that weekend, I noticed that she had removed her wedding ring. When I questioned her, she told me how her brother was very sensitive and that she would gently break the news of our engagement to him. I laughed and asked her why was this even such a big deal, but she told me not to interfere, saying that he was her family and she knew how to handle it.